Welcome back to my channel. I'm Amanda and today I'm going to play with 3 different challenges. First off, I'm playing with my Counterfeit Kit challenge with my papers and stuff from July 2025. I'm using Media Mayhem, which is a picture prompt that looks like this one, and I'm going to take inspiration from the flowers and the music. I'm also playing along with Off the Board with pineapple papers, and I pulled the fashion prompt for this one, and I'm going to use the pleats in that dress as a inspiration. So I am going to scrap these very blurry pictures of my kiddos from a long time ago, probably 10 years ago, singing in the talent show / Christmas concert at their blended school. We did homeschool for a while, so this was one of the things that they really liked doing. I am going to score this piece of paper that I used on yesterday's layout. This is what I have left over, and I'm going to use the rest of this on this one. So I score all of those lines, and then I'm going to fold it into pleats. And so it's going to end up with a pleated piece on the front in a green color, which is kind of like that dress is up on the top corner that I have for inspiration for the fashion part of my pin for the board. And it's actually going to have not the line pieces showing, it's going to have the floral-y bit showing. So I do fuss around with this a bit because paper is a little bit tricky sometimes to do this with. So I'm using a piece of cardstock to get it all glued on there, and it doesn't want to stick and it's moving around, and so I am going to get it on there eventually. I'm going to use a clip, like a bulldog clip, and get it on here. More tape, more glue. It did not want to stick where I wanted it to be, and on it goes. Almost on it go. More tape, and on. And then a little bit more glue in a spot, and then the bulldog clip and off to the side. And then I pulled out this Crafter's Workshop music notes, and I'm going to smear Nouveau drops in it. So I've done this before. It works actually pretty good. It actually uses up a lot of your Nouveau. I tried to use this painter's scrapey tool, and I don't like it as much as my little silicone one. And so there again is the inspiration piece. So I'm using the music, the sheet music in the background and from her dress as inspiration on the background here. Also pulled the goldy tones from that. It's more of a brown for what they have, but gold works too. And I'm just gonna do the whole background in this. So decided to do the top corner next, just lining up the corners with the corner of the paper, putting lots on, smearing it through, putting lots on, smearing it through, and then putting more on. So this actually uses a lot of your Nouveau drops. So if you have one that you're like, oh, this is not, it's like drying out, I need to use it up, this is a really great way to use this stuff up, because you actually need quite a bit to feed through here. And it gives wonderful texture, and it actually goes through fairly well. So there's a couple of spots where a little bit more went through than needed, but it's okay. I don't mind the messiness. I'm doing a little bit of cleanup, like right there. Had I cleaned my stencil in between each time, it wouldn't have done that. So, or let things dry, it wouldn't have done that either. So now that one's sat and dried and is sticking really well. And so now I'm doing the same thing on the other side. And then I went and sewed it because it didn't really want to stick really well. And I wanted it to, I did it in the middle with full intention of covering that middle bit up, but so that those pleats stay where I kind of wanted them to be. So used my sewing machine to do that, adding lots of glue, lots of tape, and it's going to go up this middle where it's going to cover up all of this bits and pieces. And then the photo is going to go about there, and I am going to go away a little bit from my Counterfeit Kit, and I'm going to use these Vicky Bouton flowers. So I seen those flowers in that inspiration part, and I thought about these ones that were brown in what I have for the Vicky Bouton stuff, and I wanted the color in that middle strip, and then on where the music notes are, I wanted it in black and white. And so I was very specific on which ones I was picking out for here. So if it touched the photo then it was color. If it wasn't going to touch the photo, then it was black and white. So I've also pulled out 2 Bs because this one will be for my youngest because it's her birthday week. And so I'm doing all sorts of scrapbooking for her. So I'm going to get this on for the foam bit. And so this will be where, on the side where there's no pleats, just to make that photo a little bit more stable. I did not mat that on screen, but it is matted in white, really heavy cardstock. And there we go, on it is. And then this one's going to get put up on foam adhesive, and I have this big roll. I'm not the biggest fan of this one. It is actually pretty sticky, but it's hard to cut, so because it's so sticky. But this is what I've got right now. B goes down, wings get curled up here in a minute, and then this colored one, I'm going to put it down this way, but I am going to rotate it the other like 180 degrees so that the leaf and like the sprigs are actually going up. And so I do want to cover up some of the messy bit in that centerpiece, and I had planned on doing that anyway, so getting that on here and just trying out a few different orientations of where those flowers are, just because. And that middle one keeps moving. It's because it's on the pleated stuff, and it takes a little bit of time for that glue to dry on that pattern paper that I made the pleats out of, because it's a shiny, it's not necessarily glossy, but it takes a little bit of time. So a little bit more, a lot more glue. So that works out pretty good. I also pulled out that brownish heart from the Vicky Bouton Flower Emporium as well. And then I pulled out 2 labels these are from Studio Calico in this limey green color, because that's what I've got going up on the strip. And I'm going to do a little bit of journaling. So it just says, a Christmas concert singing Lost Boys Together, home ed, so that they remember what they were singing. I don't think they'll ever forget. This is one of both of their favorite memories. I did take my pencil and outline those flowers so I knew where to put my journaling. And then I couldn't remember if it was December 2015 or 2016. So I wrote 2015 because a 5 I can change really easily into a 6. A 6 I cannot change very easily into a 5. And I know it's one of those two because my youngest here is about 4 or 5. So depending on how old they are will depend on what it stays as. So, and then I needed a title. So this Lovely works really well. I am going to put the Lovely up on foam tape, and so I cut that foam tape, even though it's really sticky, in half so that it overlaps the photo but not completely on the photo. They both love these shoes even though that they're blurry, so I am sure they're going to want to see the shoes because that was a thing at this time. And then I think these are Studio Calico Puffy Hearts. They might be Ali Edwards, but I think they're Studio Calico in the white, and so that works out really well. And then I decided it just needs a little bit of antique linen in a splatter, and it was on my desk, so I was like, what else does it need? It needs this, but I don't want any of the splatter in that center bit, so I am getting it on, and that is it for my layout. Oh, trim off a little bit of the cardstock in behind because I could see it. And so that's a wrap on this page. Close-ups will be here to follow. You can see all the texture and fun shiny bits here right away. If you liked today's layout, please make sure you like, subscribe, and comment some crafty love in the comments. Blogs and playlists and links are always shared in the description box below, so you can go take a look at how other people are using their Counterfeit Kit challenge, how people use the photo prompts, and how people are using Off the Board this month. Until next time, I hope you stay inspired, scrap, and are full of ideas. Thanks for being here, and have yourself a wonderful day.